Have you ever tried to add a required attribute to a React input component, only to find that it just doesn't show up? It's frustrating, right? If that's you, then you're in the right place. Today, we're diving into how to ensure that required attributes render correctly in your React components. I completely understand how annoying it can be when your code seems perfect, but the output just doesn't match your expectations. You're not alone in this. Many developers face similar issues when working with React. Here's the specific situation we're looking at. One user recently asked, "Why is my required attribute not rendering a red asterisk in my React input component?" They mentioned that even though they passed the required prop, nothing visually indicated that the input was required. Sound familiar? Let's dig into this together and find a solution. So what could be causing this? In React, the required attribute does not automatically add a visual cue like a red asterisk. This is something that needs to be handled with custom styling or additional markup. We'll break it down step by step so you can implement a solution. And don't go anywhere. I've got a simple solution at the end that will help you ensure your required inputs are clearly marked for users. To ensure the required attribute works correctly in the React input component, the user should first confirm that the required prop is being passed correctly to the UI input component. Next, the user should verify that the required attribute is being applied to the input element within the UI input component. This can be done by inspecting the rendered HTML. If the required attribute is present, but the red asterisk is still not showing, the user should add some CSS to visually indicate required fields. This can be done by styling the input or adding an asterisk next to the label. Finally, the user should test the component in a form context to see if the browser's default validation styles are applied. This includes checking if the red asterisk appears when the form is submitted without filling the required fields. Did you know? The concept of required fields in forms dates back to the early days of web development, but it wasn't until later that visual cues like asterisks became standard practice. It's amazing how far we've come. Now let's look at the answers provided by other users. An alternative approach suggests modifying your UI input component to a stateless functional component. Instead of using the render method, simply return the input element directly. Pass the required prop through the props parameter. When rendering the component, ensure you pass the required attribute correctly, like this: UI input required equals required. This should display the red asterisk as expected. Here's the pro tip I promised. Always provide clear visual cues for required fields. This small detail can significantly improve user experience and reduce form submission errors. And there you have it. Your required inputs should now be clearly marked with a red asterisk. Remember, clear communication in forms is key to a great user experience. If you found this helpful, hit the subscribe button for more tips, and don't miss our bonus pro tip on enhancing your forms.